Hello, everybody. Welcome to Feedback for the week of November 8th, 2011. As you can tell by the dark circles under our eyes and the fact that none of our girlfriends are here, the holiday game season is almost over. We have played a lot of games, and we are going to talk about our experiences thus far. Our first guest today, much like Skyrim, we don't have enough black people on the show, so Donnell Tucker is going to be on the show today as well.
Thank you.
Seriously,
Thank you.
Bethesda, there were black people back then. Black people can fight dragons. Work on the next game.
Totally true.
Taking a break from Melting Faces, Mr. JP is here as well.
Thank you for having me in the herder locker.
That's right. Thank you for that as well.
That's right. It's so
Can we
warm
push
and cozy in here.
on that right there? The sexiest the studio has ever been because of Thunder Dick, JP's tunage.
That's the band. Check it out.
It is a band, so check it out. and also the man who probably oversaw the writing of the paragraph that you read right before you watched this video, Mr. Eric Eckstein is here as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, wonderful to be here.
Thank you for hiring me
get
for
to
this
rate your own
job, Eric.
intro.
What's that?
You get to rate your own intro.
Yes, exactly. And it gets approved, just like the
such
feedback song
power.
had to go through a real rigorous approval process. But let's not bring that up.
No, we don't have 2 hours to talk about it. Also, Stephen, we haven't seen him around the office. I assume
He's
that
dead. Yeah, he's no
I
longer.
knew that lifestyle had
So
to catch up to him
video
eventually.
games are fun, and let's talk about them. We are obviously we're nearing the end of what I'm considering to be the best 3 or 4 months of video games ever in the history of games. What have you guys played so far? That this is the way I'm looking at it. This has been a buffet, right? So I'm not going to ask you to pick your favorite item on the buffet. Let's go back for our third round of eating. What is the one thing you're putting on your plate, Donnell?
First thing I'm going to put on my plate is Batman Arkham City.
Okay.
When I was little, I was growing up watching the animated series of Batman, and to experience a game that takes me back through those days, it was just great. It was like so magical. It was like I was Batman, exactly what I wanted to. Because when I played Arkham Asylum, I was like, just put me in a city and just let me just go roof to roof, saying like I am the knight, and just deliver that. And that's what they did, and that's why I loved it so much. And plus, they like combat was so smooth when countering and attacking. It was just perfect. It was like my nerd-gasm.
Can
for
Donnell
that.
speak more like Batman? Because that was
know.
really awesome, actually.
Can you ask me where the drugs are?
Where's the drugs?
That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary stuff. So I'm assuming that what I got from that is that you definitely cried at the last scene in Arkham City. Without spoiling it for people, you cried, right?
You know what? I did.
Yeah.
That was a powerful moment when Batman.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it again, but
It's good stuff, dude.
it's good stuff.
It's good stuff. JP, happier thoughts on something?
Well, Arkham City, if we're going with the buffet theme, that was like the salad bar. You can keep going back and you eat it, but you eventually get full. For me, the crab legs is Modern Warfare 3. It's badass.
So badass.
Yeah, I can't stop. It's actually the first one of the series where the second I beat the single player campaign, I instantly want to go back and do it again. It's like riding the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland. Up, down, get me back in line.
I'm glad that you said that because obviously that Modern Warfare 3 is our game of the week. A lot of people, when we focused on Battlefield, it was all about the multiplayer. Single player experience, non-existent. Interesting that you say you want to keep going back and playing the single player. So we'll expand on that
But
here in a
now
little
that you
bit.
bring up Battlefield 2, I love it. I've been playing multiplayer like crazy. It's super fun. And I think it's a totally different experience than Modern Warfare. I feel like they can both exist in your game collection and you'll still have an awesome time.
Right.
You know?
You greedy son of a bitch.
And I am a greedy son of
Nice.
a bitch. And I played the and I say I played the out of Arkham City.
Yeah.
Sorry, Neil, you're going to have to bleep all that. I apologize. But that game requires harder language for its amount of awesomeness.
Right.
And
a man who
unlike-
obviously doesn't work in post. Right there. I'll just curse a bunch. It's all good. Who cares?
Yeah, I just tell people to fix
Yeah,
it.
it's all good. There's nothing to worry about. Eric, what about you?
I got to say, Gears. Gears really was. I mean, we've been waiting for it all year. It finally came. The single player was a little long, but I enjoyed it. The Horde mode, I still play. I haven't really dug into the DLC, but I'm dying to play all the new expanded DLC for the Horde command pack. I never really played the Versus game. I'm not really a big fan of the Versus Gears play, but I like all the other stuff. Beast mode's kind of fun, but Horde mode and the single player game and co-op in the single player game is really
You
what
thought
I
the
needed.
single player was too long on Gears?
Yeah, we'll talk about with Modern Warfare 3. I don't need an 8-hour single player game for my shooters.
Interesting, because when I played this Gears, to me, this actually felt shorter than the other one. It actually felt like the perfect length to me, as opposed to 2, which actually just felt like it dragged on. I really enjoyed this one more than all the other ones.
I enjoyed it for sure. I just feel like there was definitely a water sequence and things like that. I remember feeling like, okay, is this game going to wrap at some point? Act 3, Act 4, Act 7, it's like, oh my God, So.
But there was no chomping intestines in a giant worm. You know?
I know. I
Oh,
didn't
the
mind
things
so
that stick
much.
with you when you play games. Oh, there's no chomping
I know it's
intestines.
cliche, but there's a reason. It's like that's what sticks out. But I still, of course, I played the hell out of 2. But
Sure.
3 really is. I fully agree. It was great.
And you have a lot to look forward to. Obviously, they've planned on rolling out a ton of DLC over the next year. So
Yeah, more single player in December. So
you'll have a lot of fun with that. Look, I said it before, and I'll say it again. Dark Souls was. I love Batman. I love Batman, and Arkham City was the perfect Batman game. Dark Souls, I think, is the reason that people should make games. The level that to me was a true $60+ game in that it was such a difficult experience, and that's what I want. I want to escape. Life is easy, man. I just drink all the time. I got a pretty girl who likes me a lot, and every week I get to talk about video games. Life is not that hard. Video games I want to be really hard. That's my escapism. And Dark Souls was really I think the perfect game this year. Unfortunately, and I know this comes out a couple days early, but we here at G4 did get our hands on Skyrim a little early.
Some of us, not others of us.
Look, all you have to do, and I don't want to incriminate this person, so I'll just I'll say his name in a different way. Game director Mr. Claude Floward over at Bethesda. I banged him. I definitely had sex with his butt, and I got a copy. That's how I roll. And Skyrim, you guys, I'm telling you right now, and this is not. I'm not speaking on behalf of XPlay. I'm speaking on behalf of Blair Herter. It is hands down my game of the year. It is an experience unlike anything other, a masterpiece, and I can't wait until next week when we talk all about that game. But unfortunately, we're here this week, so let's get into a little bit of the news. Donnell, interesting update to the PSN. A lot of people pretty upset about this, and I want to dig into it a little bit because maybe I don't care as much as most gamers. We've seen a lot on the website. We've seen a lot of people really pissed off about this. So what happened with the PSN?
Okay, so the PSN on November 18th is having a little update, as you can say, a little change in the system. When you before this update, you had the ability to re-download your games that you bought 5 times. Like that was your limit.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that sometimes from work. I go back and just downloaded my account at my home.
Mm-hmm.
Now I never got to like the 5 limit. So just like you, I didn't really care.
Right.
It was fine for me. But now they're changing that down to 2 on the PS3 and 2 on the PSP systems. So basically, it's just now instead of 5, you only can do it 2 times.
Right.
Again, that doesn't affect me because I feel like, oh, well, I just do it like 1 time and that's pretty much it. But a lot of users are upset because apparently they have 4 PS3s and, my kids can't play with each other because I have to buy it again. No.
If you have 4 PS3s, is re-downloading a $5 game really that big an issue?
I don't get it.
Apparently there is. And also include in that update is that you can now deactivate your PS3 Viva PC. And before there was particularly there's one user who said, "Oh, my PS3 died," and the only way to deactivate that because he wanted a new PS3 was that he had to send it to the Sony company to deactivate it. And I think like it didn't happen, so he lost all that his data, his account. But now it's an update where you can do it on PC, which is a great thing,
Right.
just in case that happens. So it's a plus on that.
Right.
But a lot of users are just complaining because now I can't, share it. And we did ask Sony why this change, and their response was, and it's a very PR answer. There are several reasons for the change, including strengthening the content IP for both first and third-party game content, and improving the PlayStation ecosystem. Overall, the change will help to enable us to continue to provide the best in digital games. Plain simple, I think it's just we got to make more money and start supporting our IPs, and I'm fine with that. I think because also the server is free, I feel that, there's really much not leverage on your side rather than the Xbox. Me personally, is that you pay for that service. Maybe you have a little bit more of like you have a part of Xbox Live because I pay for it.
Sure.
But for this PS3, it's providing me a free service. I think it's fine. I support this change. I think more people should start buying. And look, just stop sharing. This is their time. But I also like to include that everybody's now going towards the cloud, like Xbox, the iPhone, the Apple products. This whole cloud system. You can save all your stuff in there. And I think the PS3, I think they're going to start moving towards there too.
Well, they do have it. If you're a PSN Plus, you can do cloud saves on your games. And
okay.
things like
And I
that.
think
So-
the problem that people are having with this, which to some degree I have, is you don't really own the content. You're laying out $5, $10, $15, $20, and there are limits to what you can do with something that you've bought. And if you had a disc, you can pass that around to as many people as possible. When it's digital, now they're limiting it. So if I had 3 PS3s or I wanted to share it on my brothers or whatever, I can't do that. Not personally, again, I think we might be unified on this. Is like, I don't have a problem with that. I get it. But I can understand why people are a little upset that they don't really have as much ownership as they think they do.
Now, let me ask you a question.
To be fair, iTunes does it too.
Yeah, I mean, you've got
There's
5
no
devices,
difference.
with iTunes. It's obviously, they want to control a little bit of their where their
it makes
content
sense.
goes. Now, do you think that people have an issue with this because, let's say it was 3 PS3s and 3 PSPs, would people have as much of a problem? Because honestly, and again, I'm very fortunate in that I own quite a few consoles in my house. That said, this will not be a problem for me whatsoever, because if you have more than 2 PS3s in your house and you're trying to move content back and forth between the two, dude, I mean, find something else to do, I think, with your time. I think the problem that people have, and again, this is just my personal opinion, I don't think people like limits being imposed on their gameplay, specifically gamers. We do not like game companies telling us what we can and can't do. That's a lot of the problem we have with games nowadays, or the fact that, no, it's too linear, like Rage. I wanted to be this open world game, but it became this story that they wanted to tell me, and I didn't really have much choice in the matter. I mean, we're talking about two PS3s and 2 PSPs here. It's not 1 and 1.
Yeah.
It's not one or the other. And
So
again,
it's
like
4 total systems.
Yeah, 4 total systems. And like JP said, this isn't a $60 game. If you buy a $60 game, you own that disc. Play it everywhere.
Yep.
We're talking about things that, I mean, maximum, and I
like-
wish I would have checked it out a little bit more, but we can speculate. Most expensive PSN game, $30 bucks,
Probably 20, 30.
20,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
40 at the most.
And if you're a PSN Plus, you get discounts on them, things
Sure.
like that,
Yep.
But
So I think the problem here is just they don't want limits.
Yeah,
right?
I think this is one area where we don't have to pick on Sony. I think let Sony have their
Right.
update and let them get away with something
Right.
for a little bit.
well, also, you can't let what happened to like the music industry and what the film, all these businesses are trying to protect their content. So I get the need to put things to
Sure.
keep piracy down. It's a business. I want more new games. We
yeah.
have to fund them.
And you're a musician, right? I mean, you obviously Thunder Dick is his band. 2 times. That's 10.
DIKK.
That's
very
10.
important
Hey.
distinction. That's right.
That's $10, by the way, bro.
That's right.
$5
Okay.
a
Hey, I thought we were going to talk about that off there.
$5 a mention. Neil, got to fix this in post. You're right. It is easy to do.
Just bleep out the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's totally easy to do.
Yep.
But you guys also you work months on this album and you put it out and but I think we're not even the music industry. They suffer from piracy. I don't think you're like PSN is struggling because piracy is rampant in within their system.
No, not. I mean, I think it wasn't piracy, but definitely people were sharing. They'd buy one game
Sure.
copy and share it within the family, or maybe even with their friends to some degree. So, like again, you gotta if you want new good games, let's pay for them.
Right. My only issue with this is when you guys reached out and great due diligence on your part, strengthening the content IP for both first and third party game content. That's a bullshit answer, Sony. That makes no sense whatsoever. This does not in any way. The incentive to make great content is placed on the people that make that content because they have employees that have families and they need to pay for things like food for the babies because babies need to eat or they will die. That is the reality of life. So I think my only problem with this is that I wish that Sony did a great job with the PSN and that they went completely radio silent for a couple days when the hack happened and then they said, we definitely effed up. This is our fault. We're very transparent about what we did here. Here are the steps that we're taking to fix this. I don't like that they're not defending this, but I also don't like that it's become an issue. So I don't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's a weird thing, but the motivation behind the change, how it's going to affect gamers. Frankly, guys, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to affect gamers all that much,
And you're going to see more and more of it.
and you're going to see a lot of it.
Also, now if you bought games before November 18th, you still have the option to do it 5 times.
Sure.
It doesn't take away what you already bought before November 18th. It's just anything after. So, and I think also when people have been trained from like Steam giving you unlimited access to re-download that game,
Right.
we gamers were trained to be like, yeah, I bought it, I can use it anytime I want or share it. It's mine. Like we have this training
Right. Absolutely, man.
Brainwash.
At the end of the day, though, we can all agree on this. It is a business. It is Sony. It is their right to do whatever they want with their content. They can control it anyway. And the fact that they're giving us now 4 systems to play stuff, it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. So
sell your
go
third
Sony.
PlayStation 3.
yeah, everything. Yeah, sell your third PlayStation and send your kid to a very, very cheap art school with the money you made from that. That said, let's move on to other things Sony can control in the future. We are in the middle, or maybe towards the tail end of the big game season here. Huge announcements for 2013. Apparently, the gaming world is not stopping with the release of Skyrim on 11/11/11. Games are going to happen in the future. The one that everybody's been talking about, GTA 5, November 2nd, I believe the trailer was launched. Let's talk a little bit about that. Rockstar, they announced the game. It's going to take place in Los Santos, Angeles, right?
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
We saw the trailer. I want to discuss what you guys felt about that trailer. What I got from it is that we live in Los Angeles, so we probably have a different. We think differently about Los Angeles than most people. I cannot wait to wreck shop on the traffic in this city. That's what I feel. Finally, I get to destroy all the things that I hate about this place.
I just want to go to Silver Lake and beat up hipsters.
And I think that they're so accurate in their game depiction that there will be hipsters to beat up.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But it'll be
Oh.
called like Nickel Lake or Dime Pond.
That's right.
It's not going to be Silver Lake.
And then after that, I'm driving straight to Venice to beat up gutter punks.
Nice.
All right.
But you can also smoke marijuana legally there in the game, is what I'm hoping they're including as well.
What about 50-cent tattoos? Are those going to be in the game?
That's a good question. I don't know if we can explore that now. But let's talk about the trailer. The trailer was cinematic in scope. I think it was hysterical that it came. I love that they launched it right before Saints Row the Third. I thought there's probably a reason, a marketing reason why they did that. But the trailer, your thoughts on it, JP? You first. You've been in LA for a long time.
Yeah,
You're an LA guy. How did that trailer make you feel?
It was like watching the Appetite for Destruction. Welcome to the Jungle. In fact, that should have been the soundtrack of this video.
Yeah.
They captured LA. And I don't know. I was excited. I get excited for every GTA game, and the funny thing is, once I start playing them, I go, oh yeah, I'm not really a GTA fan, but always leading up to the games, I get super excited, and this one looks really cool, and cats and dogs and fighter jets. It's all good, but what looks fun isn't always fun for me when I play it. But yeah, what did you guys think?
I wasn't really too impressed.
Interesting. Why?
How dare you?
I was looking at the trailer. I was like, yep.
There's
seems
Grand
like
Theft Auto.
GT4 just with new toys. The trailer didn't really get me hyped up for it. Like, oh yeah, like this is what they included. What? It was same with the soundtrack. It was just like, what happened?
I actually thought that song was cool. I feel like everything could benefit from metal.
I hated that soundtrack. I think they should have chosen something else, a little bit more hype.
You mean that
behind
song
it.
for that trailer?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually thought that was kind of ballsy and artsy. Like, even though I think Guns N' Roses makes everything better, but I actually applaud. I thought the trailer was cool. It made me, who's not a fan, excited about it. I thought it looked cool. And it's different,
Right.
picking a weird
not-
60s artsy song is.
It just didn't
Didn't
hit
do
me.
it for you. All right,
Didn't do it.
Well, look, Sam Hauser, obviously the founder of Rockstar, said that Grand Theft Auto 5, it's another radical reinvention of the Grand Theft Auto universe. Not like the previous games were radical reinventions, Sam. So that's something that people can debate on. But he did say, however, it's the largest and most ambitious game Rockstar has ever created. You obviously weren't that impressed with the trailer. Maybe it doesn't represent what Sam is talking about here. Eric, what do you think? What does that mean? How do they make it more ambitious and bigger than it already is?
Here's the problem with Rockstar, as we've all learned, is that we'll have no idea. We can make all sorts of guesses, but they hold their cards so close to their chest that it's so impossible to peek behind the screen. I think you're a crazy person.
I'm not.
Because I think when you
I'm
look
not.
at that trailer, you see scope in that trailer. You see all these amazing looking, rich, lush locations
It's
that
the
are like
same type of that trailer they showed before in Grand Theft Auto
Yeah,
4. Just
because
look
it's
at
the-
all the places
it's
you
the
go,
teaser,
and then you guys
dude.
do the same thing. Oh
They're not
my
gonna
god,
show
it's
you-
gonna be bigger than ever. I'm gonna go.
What do you mean,
everywhere.
you guys?
You know.
What is that?
You guys.
it's the teaser video. They're not supposed to show everything. This game's probably not coming out till this time next year. I mean,
But exactly what you said. They hold their cards so close that they're just like, oh, just give a little something like that. And this
yeah,
is
to get you excited, to get
if
everyone
you-
going, wow, there's
if you
another
want
Grand
to
Theft
get
Auto.
like a low blow to Saints Row the Third, put out all your cards. I say knock them out.
But that's not
Right.
the. But that's
When
it's
you're-
way
when
too
you're
early.
Show
Grand
that
Theft
they have
Auto, you
vibrator
don't have to.
chainsaws to
Thank
trump
you.
your dildo back.
Thank you.
But they're two different
Absolutely.
games. Saints Row. I
Please.
personally, I love Saints Row more than GTA, only because I have more fun with the game because they do more ridiculous
Yeah. Yeah.
But what?
You should put a counter on this.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But GTA, I mean, you have to give them credit for what they end up producing from like a cinematic, real world experience from those games. I mean, they're just like LA Noire and Red Dead Redemption,
Yes.
and what Max Payne 3 looks like, which we're going to talk about. I mean,
Yeah.
like these games are immense and mega. And to be like, meh, Grand Theft Auto, meh, I just don't. I don't understand.
LA
you.
Noire trailer was way more kind of like, wow, the face, the
Facial recognition software.
Yeah,
Yeah.
software was just like eye astonishing. Like
Right.
Jake in the office couldn't stop talking about it, and we are just going.
He's
it was
still
just-
talking about it.
Yeah,
actually, to
he
this
is
day.
still talking about it.
To be
this day.
fair, Jake
And-
wears tweed suits and is a fan of Mad Men, so Cole Phelps might have sold that game on him based on the actor playing him alone. But that's just Jake.
But we
Also,
were-
Jake, creepy, bro.
But we were going
Modernize your wardrobe.
But we were going crazy over this stuff. And Grand Theft Auto 5, that trailer, no one's talking about it. Everyone's like, "Yeah, it's cool.
Right.
We get to be in Los Angeles." That's it.
Right. I mean,
The
well, look,
end.
people are already they're already talking about how pissed off they are at Sony and the fact that Dragons are coming at the end of the week. So maybe they just don't have enough time to talk about Grand Theft Auto. I personally don't think that they've. I think Eric, I agree with both of you guys in the sense that I don't see them doing anything different, but I think that it was a perfect kind of aperitif, if you will, to the experience that they are known to provide. And if you are a Grand Theft Auto fan, you're going to really enjoy this game. I think a drastic reinvention of the franchise is what they did with Red Dead. I think that's taking what is a tried and true formula. All they really did was reskin it, right? But it turned into a new experience. But at the end of the day, they told a phenomenal story. Rockstar Games has great writing. And even if it is the same gameplay, it's going to be a cool story because their stories are always really cool.
Red Dead's one of my top 10 games of all time. I
Right.
really love that game, and I grew up in the West, and I was like, they captured it. I felt like I was in the desert back home, you know,
Right.
in Arizona, and it was great. And I was like, to me, it didn't feel like GTA though, and not because of the horses and things like that. It didn't have some of the escort missions, or it did, but to me, they just felt a little more forgiving and fun than some of the GTA ones.
Right, and that's another example of we saw the trailer for Red Dead and we're like, oh, it's Grand Theft Auto on a horse. He's on a train. He's shooting guns. That game was massive, but you couldn't tell the scope of the game based on the trailer, and that may be kind of what we're experiencing here.
Could be.
as well. Speaking of Max Payne 3, though, again, another franchise that they are a part of. The Max Payne series has always been, I mean, Max Payne 2 was kind of whatever. Max Payne, the first one, this incredibly gripping story. It just really sunk into a lot of dark parts of my brain. Anyway, when I first played the first, I was like, what the hell is going on? I have a lot of issues I need to work through with people. But this is more of it's a tighter story. And I know LA Noire was a lot smaller in scope than maybe what you'd expect in the Grand Theft Auto universe, but they also had Team Bondi working on that as well. Rockstar is obviously making... They've really sunk their teeth into this one, and they're taking the lead, I think, on a lot of the development in this game. Will they be able to tell the Max Payne story? Can they tighten up their storytelling process and really return? I think this is Max Payne's last chance. If they don't do it right with this game, I don't think people are going to be interested in this franchise moving forward. So Donnell, do you think that Rockstar will be able to tell a tighter story? That, if they don't have this massive universe to fall back on, can they tell a tight story?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I can kind of see that in that trailer for sure. Since it's kind of stylized as kind of like LA Noire rather than the Grand Theft Auto 5 trailer.
Right.
I can see some dark, like you said, some dark things are going to happen in Max Payne 3, and I can't wait. And the action, of course, it's very similar, but it's something where I'm just like, they tweaked it to make it even better and cleaner. So I'm like, that's even. I'm going to experience a more intense situation. And I can't wait for that trailer. I mean the game, and I thought the trailer was well on that. So
it looks great.
Good.
Absolutely.
It was tighter. I mean, it's an action game, so you're going to see more of action type footage, which I know stimulates your brain.
it does always,
And it looks great. No, I mean, and it also is coming in March, so it's only 4 or 5
Yeah.
months away. So of course, we're going to be seeing a lot more of that. We still, again, don't know a lot about that game. We've seen it hands on. We haven't gone hands on, but we've seen it hands off demos of it, and it looks really cool and impressive. But until we all get our hands on and see what that story is really like, it's going to be a little bit of a mystery.
Right.
For me, the story is second in that one. I just want to play. I just want my badass simulator. It's a video game. I want to go out there and kick some ass as
Right.
Max Payne. You
Yeah.
know.
And bullet time is back, which is something
Yeah.
we've seen in games, ever since the first Max Payne came
Yeah.
out. Now
But
they've
not
said bullet
recently,
time
if
is
you think
back
about it.
and better than ever. Slower bullets, more timelier shooting.
right.
Yeah, more
I don't
control,
know.
maybe.
Maybe a little more control in that. But look, people aped that ever since the game came out, but nobody did it as well as Max Payne.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure there's somebody out there that's going to go, no, obscure reference number 32, that's better. But by and large, the game industry did not, nobody did Bullet Time better than Max Payne. I personally look forward to seeing that return. And also, it's 10 years later in this dude's life. He had a life the first 20-something years or 30 years of his life. He looks something really bad. He has gone down a darker path somehow
Yeah.
in the decade since. I can't wait to see what they do with this character. I think we're going to see, and this is just me speculating, but I think we're going to see some of the most brutal and visceral combat of any shooter we've seen in the last 5 years, because something bad has happened to this man. His hair is gone, and he's got a scar on
It's
his
political,
And when
really.
that
Wall Street snaked him. He lost his home.
face. He's the one. He's
There's
the
an
1% of people that
Occupy
can dodge
theme through
bullets.
it, yeah.
And he and Keanu.
Rubber bullets. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
All
So
right.
we'll be channeling more Manhunt in
Yeah,
in their Max Payne.
Exactly.
You'll
I
be
think it will
saving in his tent in the shanty town.
Oh, goody.
Yeah.
Will he have a message though? Will he be clear with his messaging?
He is the 99%.
Gripping
Yes.
political commentary, JP. Thank you for that.
Sorry, I just thought I'd veer it off for a second for no good reason.
Well
I'm
done.
sorry.
If I was Adam, I would have dropped some crazy, awesome Franklin Roosevelt reference, but I'm not, and I won't, so I can't. Let's talk about Rainbow Six Patriots. We had this great conversation last week on feedback where we talked about whether or not first-person shooters can engage you emotionally. We saw this trailer for Rainbow Six Patriots. It was target gameplay. People are focusing on the target gameplay aspect of it. Here's the thing. Remove yourself from the fact that it's target gameplay. Let's talk about the emotion in that trailer. I don't really care what the game looks like, and I don't care what the combat looks like. The decisions that those multiple people had to make in that trailer, that is engaging someone emotionally in video games. I think, telling the story of a terrorism or a terrorist event from multiple viewpoints is incredible. And we saw in the trailer, if you haven't seen it, watch it immediately. You have to make some really effing tough decisions. And this is just a trailer.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what the entire gameplay is, the entire video game is going to be like. But I think to answer our question last week, this particular trailer, the answer is yes. Shooters can involve people and engage them emotionally. JP, you're a huge shooter fan. You saw the trailer as well. I know we were shooting X-Play, I think, when they released the trailer.
We were all hovered around the screen going,
watching,
oh my God,
watching the monitor. But as a shooter fan, I mean, it seems like they're trying to bring something different to the table here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it, put you in the experience. That was an intense trailer, though. It was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I would watch this movie if that was like some crazy movie trailer. Can you imagine? Like,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
and it was intense, it's hard to describe how that'll be when you play it. It's like, at the end of the day, will it be fun? Is it fun making intense decisions and stuff? I don't know. I don't know if I've played a game where you're having to make the decision of, do I kill the guy with a bomb strapped to him or save him somehow?
Right.
My guess is it'll be super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, who doesn't like having their birthday party ruined by terror? Every birthday I have, I'm like, man, if terrorists showed up, this would be a way cooler party.
Well,
Finally, we'll know what that feels like.
Here's the thing with me and Rainbow Six games. I always have started the single player on them and just gotten bored really quick. And for me, it's really multiplayer. I started playing. In fact, Rainbow Six is what got me to get an Xbox Live subscription with the Xbox One in the first place. I got so hooked into it, and I'm just excited for another round of more Rainbow Six gameplay. But if they have this kind of story on top of it with moral choices and all this kind of espionage and intrigue and all that stuff, this is awesome. You get to be James Bond. I mean, who doesn't want to do that?
Right. And Eric, from your standpoint, I mean, you oversee the coverage of a lot of the games, obviously that we have on G4TV.com. I feel like this trailer is indicative of what we're going to have. Was it No Russians in the in Modern Warfare 2, where there was so much hype surrounding some of the terrible that you can do in this game. Looking into the future, what do you think the coverage of this game is going to be like? I mean, you are the editorial guy here. What are people talking about from this trailer?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple things. One is the target gameplay footage, because, I mean, it may not look or feel like what we saw. That's just kind of like what they want the emotional impact to be. But I think a lot of it is that, looking at it from our perspective, it's a new Rainbow Six game. It's going to be most likely a squad-based game that involves around these hard decisions, and there will be, what is the impact of those decisions? How does that affect the longer game? Does it change the story? There's a lot of things I don't really know what happens when you kick that guy off the bridge or you don't. I mean, can you even let him sit there? I think the one thing we don't know is how scripted it is and how linear it is, and that once we know the answers to that, then we can figure out, well, how do you cover a game like that?
Right.
Because the element of choice is so important for most RPGs and games like that, but not really for shooters.
Did you read Choose Your Own Adventure books as a kid?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, dude.
I loved them, and I feel like that's hitting the same bit in your brain, just kicking that little muscle that makes turn to page 53.
Well, it's got that, and it opens with that kind of a Heavy Rain-esque sequence, right?
Sure.
Where it's like kiss wife, blow out candle, that kind of stuff.
That's square.
Exactly. Sure. Watch out for terrorists, and then it goes into this kind of dark kind of gunplay. And I think if you can integrate more of those kind of moments into a shooter, then you're kind of blurring the genre, and it's more interesting, especially for us that play so many games. We want to see some new, different approaches to shooters.
Absolutely. And then we've got a couple more games to talk about real quick. I'm going to glaze over the two no-brainers, and those are the fact that another Zelda game is going to be made. Okay. Also, the sun's going to come out at some point during the rest of your life, and then MGS Rising is still a real game. Considering the fact that the majority of Konami's press conference last year revolved around this game, that also is a no-brainer as well. They are still developing this. We will see that in the future. But the one big thing I wanted to focus on before we move on, there's a new BioWare title. Now, BioWare has made a ton of money in the past couple years, both on the Dragon Age and then obviously Mass Effect, those two franchises. Let's just speculate real quick. Is it going to have an RPG element? Probably. But what are the chances, Donnell, what are the chances that BioWare does something completely different? What if they go in another direction?
RPG racing
What?
simulator.
That sounds terrible. I hope not, Greg.
Maybe.
Don't, doctor. Don't do it. But seriously, if they were to kind of take it in a different direction, they obviously know how to tell a story.
Yep.
That much is true. And they do RPG elements really well. But Mass Effect 2 showed just how well they can do shooters, because the combat in Mass Effect 2 is fantastic. Do we see maybe a shooter coming out of the company?
Maybe. What I saw from the screenshot, I believe there was a car, guy flying out of it, and an explosion. So that's what came to me. Oh, racing RPG simulator, just
Right.
He had a bandolier on, so he's got bullets, so maybe some sort of
shooter
gunplay,
racing,
yeah.
Borderlands, maybe kind of new project like that.
See, everybody thinks Borderlands. For whatever reason, I just don't think we're going to see a post-apocalyptic game from them. I think it might be more real, modern day, contemporary, but I think it's more shooter than Mass Effect is. But I bet it has to have those RPG elements where you're customizing your character and what his abilities are or his team's abilities are. But I think it probably is more shooter than RPG.
Right. I mean,
And
look,
hopefully more shooter than racing, because I'm not really looking for another.
I think Rage was a
action
good
racing
example
game.
of, and Rage was, I loved Rage, even to the very, very, very bitter end. I love that game. But I think that they're not quite there yet. The whole RPG car shooter thing, that's not really a genre quite yet. And maybe it never needs to be completely honest with you. Although,
Well,
I was hoping BioWare would just go back to their roots and make a really solid medical training simulator.
oh man,
oh yeah.
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's
sounds so great.
edutainment.
Right.
You know,
I think the big
docs.
announcement, it is being announced in December. I think the big announcement's going to be, look, their company is bursting at the seams right now, right? I think the big announcement's going to be they're going to open a new studio. And if they open a new studio, then chances are maybe they just have a ton of new people, or maybe they have opened it and we just don't know about it. But, chances are maybe they bring in a ton of new people and let them do their own thing. Which could be really cool as well, because they're in Edmonton, right? They've got Austin,
Yep.
and is that it? Are there any other BioWares? There may be some offshoots or some smaller people they work with, but by and large, I mean, we're talking about two studios that handle development of two of the biggest franchises ever, and a little game
Star
called The
Wars.
Old Republic that's coming out in December. So maybe I feel like they're going to open a new studio, and that could really take things in a completely different direction. But I'm very interested to see. I know the world is watching to see what happens in December. And then the last thing, the return of Alan Wake. It's going to be a downloadable game. I think that's fantastic. I played the first game in segments, in chapters, which is how I think they were trying to kind of tell that story.
Yeah.
From it's so meta, but he was a writer, and maybe the game should be played in chapters. I think it's a great announcement. I look forward to playing, the continuation of his journey in chapters. It was a great game. It was a great console release and a great full release title. Will it do as well as a downloadable game? Should they have gone for another $60 offering, or
I think you're right. I think if they release, like I personally with Alan Wake, I liked it. I didn't love it because I played through all 6 chapters, whatever it was, in one fell swoop, and didn't have a good experience because you're just running through the woods every 5 minutes and you're just looking for something to do. If they release it in chapters and it's more interesting and engaging, there's cliffhangers and you have to wait a week to find out what happens next, that's kind of cool. And that lets the water cooler chat kind of happen among your friends too. So you can be like, hey guys, did you do this? Oh yeah, what's going to happen next? I think this is going to happen. So I hope that's the approach they actually go with. I don't know. I mean, have they said it's going to be episodic?
It's got to be, right? I mean, I think that, I mean, we're just speculating here. I don't think they've made any sort of announcement either way, but it would make sense. And if you're talking about releasing what was a full console game as a downloadable game, you're downsizing the story, but maybe they had a full console game and they're just cutting it up into pieces. But that's a phenomenal idea. And I hope that somebody on the development of that game is watching, because cliffhangers would be fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope that the business embraces that model.
I mean, I would. Hey, that's a monthly subscription. I would do that if every month or every 2 weeks I'm getting something that is a game that I love that is telling a new story, and they're crafting that story almost as the reaction to the audience and what they're doing, what they're playing. So
That's all I need is for my Xbox to be like my DVR and just start filling up with crap that I'll never
I would
get
love
to,
it.
though.
Exactly.
I don't know. That's almost why I like the DLC games, because at least then I know that I'll get through it. It's like
Right.
bite-sized gaming, which is cool.
Yeah.
So you want to play an Ice Loves Coco game? Is that what you're saying?
You know, I would,
You want it to be
I
just
would
like your
totally
DVR?
play an Ice Loves Coco game.
I would too.
Video games is all about getting to be your heroes. And Ice, you are my hero.
For numerous reasons. One gigantic one in particular. All right, let's move on
Well,
to the...
also, let it be known that he is a badass heavy metal frontman. Body count is still...
Oh, I thought you meant Alan Wake.
And you know what? Alan Wake... I picture an Alan Wake theme band. In fact, maybe that's what we should do.
There is, what is that? The Elder Gods, or what are ones in the game? Remember that?
There's an Alan Wake theme band?
No, there was a band like the Elder Gods. I
Oh,
can't
that's
remember.
right.
They
You
had some
kicked the
awesome
crap out
metal
of that
songs in
band in
there.
the game.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
We'll never get that minute back, but I'm glad that you two had that moment right there. That was
I'm
adorable.
gonna go listen to the song.
Never
was
mind us.
adorable.
We're just going to be over here talking to ourselves.
All right, on to fan feedback. 2 lucky viewers today will be getting a copy of the hot off the presses, face-melting, panty-dropping Thunderdick album that you see behind me here.
Number
That's
3.
3 mentions.
Yep.
That's 15
Yes.
bucks
3
right
times
there.
pay.
If you like music or partying or smiling or getting laid, this is definitely the album for you, right, JP?
Yeah, every song is about partying and sex and party. It's cool. We go full circle.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Great elevator pitch. I love that. So, Eric, you're going to handle the
And we
fan
have
feedback
guitar
questions.
solos.
Sure, I can throw one out to you.
We had a ton. We had like over 100 questions. So thank you guys for sending them in. And I personally enjoy this segment quite a bit. I'm glad that we're now doing it. So Eric, if you will.
I'm glad you enjoy it, because the first user, Blair Herder is a dolphin, asks.
That's a great name, by the
Yeah,
way.
it's a fantastic.
I've
name.
always thought
And I think
the same
I think
thing.
it's true.
I
Dad
think
needs
so.
to make one of 2 decisions. Dad, stop drinking or cancel your AOL subscription. We can't have you doing both, clearly.
But
This
he
is
asks,
ridiculous.
what's your guys' opinion on all the releases of different editions of the games being released? Assassin's Creed Revelations will have 6 different editions. When they flood the market with so many choices, it feels like by buying one, you're missing out on all the content of the others.
I had this experience this weekend playing Skyrim. Every time I make a decision that I feel will close off even a marginal part of the game, I want to kill myself. So this, for me, this terrifies me because I don't want to miss out on anything, but I also can't afford to spend $360 on 6 different versions of the game.
Yeah.
I think you have to let go of all of everything else, and you yourself, you make your own game experience, and I think that's what it's about. And if you don't get to play that ending, chances are it'll be on YouTube the day after the game is launched. So you just have to let go of the fact that you may not see everything. But this
yeah.
is a tough question for me because, again, I don't ever want to miss out on anything.
Cases, though, in very few cases do I find that it's like something so game-changing. Normally it's like, oh, there's this extra room that you get to go through in Assassin's Creed or an extra challenge thing, but nothing affects the story and like outside of like the Catwoman thing, but you get that just for buying the new copy of the game, which that I get. But for me personally, I never buy the special edition of the games, except for COD because I wanted the Elite stuff, you know. But because it's free download packs and all that stuff, you actually get something legitimately.
But it is
heavy-duty with
annoying the way there's lots of, especially with RPGs, when it's like you buy it here and you'll get the extra backpack, and you buy it here and you'll get a gun that does a little more damage, and you buy it here and you get a discount on trade items. But you have to get all 3 to really maximize. Like Fallout New Vegas had a lot of those DLC
But
packs.
none of it affected the core of the game.
It
in
doesn't
any
affect
way.
story, but it does. I mean, it does bug me and irks me, and which is like I wish that there was a way to just kind of. I would pay the $5 or $10 to get all of that in one roof instead of buying the $60, the $60, and the $60 to get that 3 from Amazon, Best Buy, and Walmart.
Or you just wait 6 months and then they release it like they
Yeah,
do
but
with
say,
new
don't they
Vicious.
do that like later down the road? They'll release it all where you can buy it. It's just,
the Game of the Year edition
Well, like,
or
but
whatever.
Of
exactly.
course, by that
but
point you've already beaten the game.
we know why like business size they like on the business side they do that so it's exclusive to like buy it at Best Buy or buy it at GameStop. I mean, there's
I think
that's the
pre-order
purpose
exclusives
of
are
it.
the
And
bane of gaming right now. I hate
Absolutely.
them.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they should die, but I understand they never will because that's
yeah.
what until the brick and mortar stores go away, and even when they do, online stores are just going to take their place, like Amazon and everything else. So you're never going to see these things go away, and they do ruin a little bit of gaming.
Yeah, it's
for me.
annoying, but you just have to make the edition that you feel that it would be best. Like this is the one I want to go for.
But keep in mind, like the music business has been doing this for years. Not to
Yeah,
bring it
yeah.
back to buy it at Best Buy.
And
you
that's
get
not
the
a broken
DVD
industry at
bonus.
all.
No.
Well,
I mean, it's a
but now
shame
it's
that
the
bands like
compelling reason
Thunder
to buy the
can't do better.
content. Yeah,
It's a shame,
times
really.
the pay.
That
you
the
just
industry
upgraded
keeps
from
you guys
early
in the-
times to Jack Daniels. Keep going, and you'll go to Glenn Living.
Well, we got another guy or a girl, the Beetle, Beetle, just so we're
Okay.
clear, not Ringo.
It's good they can't get sued.
Experienced?
Ringo's your go-to, huh?
Yeah.
Not Ringo, not
Caveman,
George.
one of the greatest movies of all time. So I'm just saying that. Have any of you experienced any professionally awkward situations with someone in the industry because of a bad review or something you said in a podcast, perhaps during an interview?
Well, I've had a bunch of professionally awkward situations with people in the industry based on things I've done at press events that have open bars. But as far as a bad review, my job on the whole is freaking sweet, right? But one of the only downsides is that a lot of the reviews that we read on XPlay, people think that because I presented that review on XPlay, that is my opinion of the game. And frankly, it's just the opinion of the reviewer. And those opinions are going to change. So I love mixed martial arts, and I love the UFC, and I love the UFC Undisputed franchise. 2, not so much, but UFC Undisputed 1 was fantastic, and 3 is freaking rad, and I can't wait for people to play it. But I remember when UFC 1 came out, THQ had flown me to like 3,800 fights around the world. They spent all this money being nice to me because I was covering the crap out of the game. And then I believe we gave the game either a 3 or a 4. I think we gave it a 3.
I think a 3.
And I went to their game launch, and the head of their PR department came up to me and basically said, "Hey, do you remember that time that we sent you all over the place for free? Remember those nice hotels and all of that? A 3, really? Do you really think it's a 3? Because it's averaging out around a 4 or a 5 in the rest of the industry." And I felt it was the most uncomfortable I've ever been because I had to explain, listen, I didn't do that review. If I'd have done the review, I would have given it a 4. But because
But you're not going to want to give it a 4 because you're flying around the
exactly,
country.
and that's
I
one of the
hope.
things that I'm glad that you clarified. It's not really about that, and it does help. But at the end of the day, it's just awkward because, and I'm not saying that companies all the time they expect a certain thing, but there are certain companies out there that do look at it that way because, like you said, it is a business. Payola is not something that is mutually exclusive to the music industry or the movie industry. They spend a lot of money on these events and to really hype up their game. But that was a terrible moment for me to have a grown man come up to me and basically be like my father. He was really disappointed in me, and I was like, "It's not my fault, Dad. It was Timmy. He's the one that threw the football through the window. I just happened to be standing next to him."
I mean, I deal with this all the time, obviously, because we review games constantly. And I'm always trying to give a heads up to game companies about the reviews that they're going to get especially when they're not going to be what they think they deserve.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, I think they get it. It's not awkward. I mean, it's business, and they understand. I mean, they try to talk you out of it, or they try to explain things, and I try to explain the point of the view of the reviewer. I mean, I always back up our reviewer if they made valid points and can defend the problems they have with the game. I mean, who are we to say otherwise? So, but yeah, I mean, sometimes companies take it really personally when they have a big launch. I don't want to name specific games, but there are big launches sometimes, and we don't necessarily love their first outings, and a lot is riding on that. Sometimes companies are riding on that,
Right.
And you just kind of have to stick to your guns a little bit
Right.
and take it.
Yeah,
It is awkward, but it's not. They get it. They understand.
Yeah, they do. And I think that's what the problem was, that just to clarify for everybody out there that thinks THQ is trying to buy our love and affection, the reason they were disappointed was because they truly felt that the game was amazing. And that's why they spent all that money to keep flying us places, because they're like, we want you to play this as much as possible because we're super freaking proud of it. And that's what their disappointment was. Not the fact that, I got to do a bunch of... What? Let's move on to Donnell. What did you say? What's going on there? It's fine.
I have one quick awkward moment, and it's
Does it involve Blair?
Is it happening right now?
Yeah, I think
I have
so.
like
Are
100.
you going to reference the last 45 minutes?
I should, but I'll say another one. The Modern Warfare 3 review event that I went to, I actually had an awkward moment. After you playing, and they have dinner and stuff, and of course it's like, oh, this is like amazing, good. And we're sitting on tables. I know a couple of reviewers from other companies, and but I don't know many developers, so I don't know their face. So when one particular developer sat down, I was talking not crap about the game, but I was saying some
Critical things.
yes. And the guy was just standing there, and I thought he was just another reviewer, just like, yeah, this Modern Warfare 3, here's the problems. Listen it out. And then someone mentioned, like, yeah, so when you're working at Sledgehammer Games, why do you guys, and then it suddenly kicked in. I was like, holy crap, this guy's been listening to me, and he's been a developer, and I'd just been talking
Probably one of the
crap.
co-founders.
I was like, oh, thank God I wasn't reviewing it, but crap. So that was my awkward moment, just a little quick one.
Did you tell me you work for Game Trailers?
Yes.
should have.
I said, I'm Jeff Keighley.
Yeah. I look I'm way darker into it. It's the studio
it's
lights.
just-
They really
yeah,
they
makeup,
flush me.
a lot of
Yeah. What about you, JP?
No, I haven't had any really awkward moments, but I get it from their side. You put years into something, and then once it's out in the wild, people are gonna love it or hate it. And like, look, man, having put out a record with my band,
For Thunderdick, right?
Yeah,
The band
for
Thunderdick.
Thunderdick, which you
5
can
times
get
pay.
at CD Baby and Thunderdick.com. No, look, somebody hates it. Hey, it's not for everybody. Life goes on, and I will continue doing what I do, and so be it.
Right on, man. Well, I think we
But
can.
don't use that as an excuse to troll me. Please.
But if they wanted to, it's at Thunderdick.
Thunderdick.com. Feel free. Yeah.
Nice. All right, let's move on to the game of the week.
6 times the pay.
Speaking of things that universally, I think around the building we can all agree on, which doesn't happen very often. Modern Warfare 3, we gave the game a 5 out of 5. You played the poop out of it, and you played the poop out of it, and we've all played quite a bit of the game. It's an amazing single player experience,
Yeah.
which is something that the other game out there directly went after and then failed to deliver on.
What's funny about it is that I didn't play Battlefield 3. I'll say it. Single player. I went right into multiplayer when it first launched, and then played Modern Warfare 3 single player through all the way through. It's short. I don't mind. I liked it. And then went back because I said, well, I have to play Battlefield 3 single player to know. And at first, I mean, and we probably talked about this to death. It's like, it's awesome. It looks beautiful. It's got some really cool action sequences. And then the more you play, the more you realize they don't really hone the action. It's a simulator more than an action game. And that's why I love the Modern Warfare 3 single player campaign so much, is that I'm doing something every 5 seconds. Something crazy is going on. There's big moments that I'm like, oh my God, that's happening in the plane, or that's happening in the whatever. And that's what I really liked about the single player campaign. So for the other game, I mean, they went out and said, we're going to make a great single player game, and didn't. And Modern Warfare 3 never really came out and said, we're making a great single player game, but they did.
Right. And no spoilers here, but there are certain characters in this franchise that you have grown emotionally attached to throughout the course of the franchise. And some of those don't make it because it's war. And
War's hard.
And that makes you feel bad. And
It
that
does.
is not something I experienced. At Battlefield, I was so far removed from everything that was going on. Considering the fact that the majority of Modern Warfare 3 is one gigantic exploding set piece, I was very into the tiny experiences that the game had to offer.
Well, you can boil it down to, like, one is kind of like being embedded in a CNN broadcast, and the other one's like being embedded in Michael Bay's brain.
Yeah.
I know which place I'd rather play a video game in.
Right. Because that place has hookers and a lot of blow.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
Got it.
That's his mojo.
I mean, the cool thing with Modern Warfare 3 is right off the bat, you're in the middle of, a destroyed New York, fighting through this gigantic battle. And you know what blew me away right away was the graphics. I know everybody made a big deal about Battlefield 3's graphics, and, we haven't really been talking so much about MW3's graphics. And to me, I was like, they look just as good. The set pieces, I didn't have to do any installs, my hard drive or any of that. But I mean, it looked great. And then really quickly, you're doing all kinds of different stuff. You're either on the Gatling guns, you're flying the you're up in the AC-130, you're doing everything, and and the way it seamlessly goes back and forth between all these different elements is really fun.
Right.
It
Which
is
is
showing
bottom
its
line.
age, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
The Battlefield 3, like JP, it's like, it looks great, but the problem I thought they had was that they didn't use that technology to make it even greater. Like, I think when, of course, they had a nuke, they just said white flash and then cut to the next scene, everything's down. It's like, with that technology, it would look great if I saw the whole building just disintegrate and just like
Right.
the details of that. Like, that's how you can use a technology that's like great and taking it even greater, like pushing it. And I think Modern Warfare 3, they used that technology and then they used all the set pieces and they're just like explosion here, explosion there,
The
to make
subway
it seem
the subway scene alone was epic.
to make it seem like it's like, wow, these graphics are amazing. But I think it's the experience they add with that graphics that make it even like seem like similar. But I still think Battlefield 3 has a little edge on the graphics. I think it's a little bit sharper.
No, it definitely does. I mean, I
so-
think, but Modern Warfare 3 plays faster.
Yeah,
it's
of
there's
course.
I feel like I never had any slowdown. The AI seemed better. I don't know if that's true. I mean, but they do
Hard
a
to
lot
tell.
of duck and repeat, that kind of stuff.
Your people
But-
didn't kick you out of cover because they wanted to stand behind it.
I mean,
no, that
Yeah,
didn't
that
happen.
didn't
to you?
happen. No.
Right.
To me, they're very, very different games. Like I don't get this whole Battlefield versus Modern Warfare. I get it in the sense that people might only have a certain amount of money to spend on one
Sure.
or the other.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan of these kind of games, to me, it's two totally different experiences. I love Battlefield's multiplayer, especially in this one. But I also really love Modern Warfare 3's, and I play them for separate reasons.
Right.
Yep.
One's the team-based conquest with, and Battlefield's sound design is second to none. I mean, it's really incredible. But I just love my fast-paced shooter action in Modern Warfare 3.
Well, let's talk about the Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer. At the end of the day, they both have somewhat small single-player experiences. So the things that people are going to be playing for the next 8 months or 10
Multiplayer.
months or a year. I mean, Black Ops, people are still playing the crap out of Black
Even
Ops.
Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, and
they're
even
still
Modern
playing.
Warfare 2. The multiplayer community for any of the Call of Duty games is obviously always very robust. The multiplayer is fantastic. I'm not, and I want to clarify that I'm not a fan of first-person shooters. I just I'm a much bigger fan of RPGs, so I don't typically dip my toe into the first-person shooter waters all that often. But I loved the multiplayer in Modern Warfare 3. I had a great time with it, and I think Call of Duty Elite is revolutionary.
It's phenomenal.
I think that in and of itself is a reason to at least get involved in this community. JP, I know that you guys are going to play this game forever. So let's
I'll
talk
play
about
it until the next one comes out.
Yeah, and let's talk about those features. What does it mean to you guys to not only have this great experience, but to have a reason to continue to remain a part of the community?
It's hard because I have a little problem with Modern Warfare. Even though it's a great game, multiplayer, there's one little problem I hate about it, and it's that nobody works as a team. It's still, I feel it's still that I'm going to run out and do my own thing. F you. And if you are not getting the kills, you suck. And I'm 12 and I'm going to cuss you out. You know, it's
But
like,
that happened with Battlefield 3 when it first launched too.
I don't think so because
No, it did.
No, absolutely
no.
it did.
because I didn't experience any of that. I didn't hear a
Then
12-year-old
you got the
because-
luckiest
But
matchmaking
either I
of
got
all
the
You got
time.
some great friends on
servers.
your friends
Yeah.
list, man.
'Cause in my experience,
Why would
it's
I be
every
friends
man
with
for
them?
himself in that Warfield.
Yeah.
And same as Modern Warfare.
But I think it's that the mechanics they have there in Battlefield 3 is that they force you to work as a team. They give you the options to spawn on your squad because if you don't, you got to spawn all the way back in the beginning, at the beginning of the level. You don't want to walk all the way down there. You want to get right into the action. So you're constantly spawning on your squad, working together. Rather than Modern Warfare 3, I feel like I know they added that support feature, and you have the option to work as a team. I'm not saying there's any teammates, like teamwork, but I just still feel that, oh, I'm support. Hey guys, I'm helping you out. Whatever, and I'm just gonna go do my own thing. Here, have a body vest. I'm not gonna pick it up. I'm too badass for that. You know,
You
and
play games with Mr. T?
I do.
It's amazing.
I do. We connect.
His gamer tag.
His kill death ratio is epic. Yeah.
So that's my experience with it, and I just feel like I like working as a team. It's a lot better, and it's a lot more like I'm into the game more rather than hey everybody do your own thing. Then
Right.
it's like free.
But I think
for
the
all.
idea behind Elite is it's supposed to encourage you to be able to find those people that you're not finding right now. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, the game launched today while
Yep.
we're taping this. It's like people
Sure.
are actually really getting in there. I mean, certainly there were people in there that had already prestiged when I was playing, which was ridiculous. But so
saw
I
that
mean, hopefully
last night.
it's ridiculous.
That's
So
a lot of
hopefully
Mountain Dew
you'll
they
find
must have drank.
people. Exactly.
right.
But I don't know. I think obviously, yes, it's definitely everyone wants their kill streaks, which I kind of think is a little bit of a broken system, a little bit rewarding the people that are really good with
Really?
getting
Yeah.
even better.
I
think
completely
the support
disagree.
The support strike package is cool, but I
Yeah.
think when it comes to, hey, if I'm really good at this game, I'm going to kick your ass even more. I wish there was another way
I
to kind
totally
of balance
disagree.
that.
I think
with
it's crazy
that,
that you
'cause I
disagree
feel
because JP, self-admittedly, is not very good at this.
Yeah,
game.
I love
So
the
it's
support
interesting
thing,
that
man.
you.
Are you
No,
kidding
no,
me?
no, I
And
love
the fact that I
support.
can take my kills
Yeah.
with me.
No,
and
that
to me,
I'm saying I
evens
love.
it.
I'm just saying the concept of kill streaks where you're the assault and specialist one in particular, where the more kills you get, the more crazy ass that you're going to drop on everyone else that you're already
But that's
owning.
war. I mean, because
Yeah.
you know,
Rewarded
if you
for
want a
doing good.
pure
It's just not fun when you
person
jump in a game
experience,
and
you
cobras
have
are
Halo.
shooting you and ACs are raining on you, and you're like, oh, let's shoot the shit down. No one's doing it.
But
Yeah,
you,
it's
you
like-
can play Halo if you want that, which I love Halo for that reason, and that's a more pure experience, and there's not kill streaks. But when you really want the crazy stuff, that's what COD is for. That's what it's
Yeah,
about.
I mean-
throw the helicopters at them.
I'm not disagreeing. I just don't love the way the system resolves because I feel like I'm just getting some. If you have a bad run, you never get a good run out of that. You just have to wait till the next game.
Well, they've also, I mean, look, they've got a community that's committed to at least 52 weeks
Hey.
of whatever it is they decide to do. Maybe that's something
Yeah.
they do eventually resolve.
It's just like
in the long
football.
term.
Some days you're going to go out there and get your ass kicked, 43-7. You know what I mean? But you got to finish the game.
As a Saints fan, I know exactly what that's like. Sometimes we can beat the Colts 62-7, and then we lose to the Rams. What the?
yeah.
So, yeah.
But then it's all over in 9 minutes, and then you're into the next game, and you know.
But you're right. The support class fixes a lot of those problems that I have as a not great player of Modern Warfare 3.
You
Yeah.
know, and
I mean-
on the elite thing, just they got that Connect, Compete, Improve initiative that they've got going, where you can see all the maps and everything. And it's really cool. So if you want to get in there, you can get your hands dirty and see where the choke points are and things like that. Although I have to say, these maps, very few choke points. I've
They're
noticed
really
people were
small.
moving.
I found like I'm spawning on top of people a lot of times. Like I kill you and then I run around the corner and there you are and I kill you again, or I kill you and you know I'm right there, so you run around the corner and kill me.
So
There's
that's
a lot
you,
of that.
huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
I've had
exactly.
experiences with you, unfortunately. What do you? You're over there chomping at the bit, man.
I'm trying to get into this, but just getting back with the whole elite thing was that, of course, you have the elite. Of course, you can work, have your own clan and get it all together. But I still feel like the mechanics give you an option of that. And what my theory is that with most gamers, I mean, if you give them the option, hey, you could work as a teammate and be a great person, or you can be a badass and be a dick to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you give them that action, a lot of gamers were probably going to tend over there to the kind of like, oh, I'm badass, I'll do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Rather than Battlefield 3, it forces you to make like the mechanics. You have to be a teammate. That's how to win, and that's what I like. Like that's what I enjoy more. I have a better experience in Battlefield 3 multiplayer. So I'm going to play both of them tons of times, but Battlefield
Right.
3 is going to get a little bit more time. with
I think we
love
could talk
playing
about
team
this forever.
deathmatch where it's not an issue.
I'd like to actually, at some point, we should all get back together, and I'd love to revisit this conversation like 15 weeks from now. Let's see where everybody stands. You play through the holidays. There's going to be a lot of people at home. There'll be a lot more people on these servers. So we'll definitely revisit this conversation.
That's right. And you'll be able to see my poor kill death ratio on my elite tag.
And I'll be able to play with Mr. T over the holidays, which would be fantastic.
And I expect you all to join my Facebook clan when I get it up, you know.
we can do that. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
under
sure.
the Thunderdick page, or is that your own page?
That's right. This will be under my own page.
7?
I love it.
And
Times the page?
I got news for you. I'm not going to play as a teammate.
Oh.
See? No fun.
At least he told you to your face, though. There's a lot of honor
Appreciate
in
it.
that, sir.
No, with you guys, man.
just me. I got it.
And the one thing that I want to touch on
It's
before we
on.
wrap up today, we reached out to Michael Patcher, excuse me, if is it Pachter? Pachter, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You better say it right.
Yeah, I'll redo it.
There's
3, 2.
repercussions.
The last thing I want to say on this, we reached out to Michael Pachter. If you read magazines at all or are on the internet at all, this dude is the video game analyst, which I still think we don't really know what that means exactly. It's fun to speculate, I think is what his job title, the subtitle is. He says Modern Warfare 3 will make $1.1 billion in the first 6 weeks and will surpass Black Ops in sales. Now, this is a gaming franchise that is the biggest entertainment franchise in the history of all things entertaining. I don't see this being. I don't see this being an unreasonable estimate.
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
no.
You know
I
what's
think-
ironic is Modern Warfare 3 came out on the 40th anniversary of Led Zeppelin 4. Their biggest album. Was
You're
Stairway to
actually
Heaven.
the only person that knows that.
I do. Well, no, I think Nicole knows
Everybody
that. actually.
kind of knows.
I see her
Nicole
nodding her
doesn't
head.
even know what it's like to. She's like 40 is
No,
old,
she knows her
man.
stuff when it comes to the class rep.
Nicole's
But
age is she. We're the old people for that. You know who Zeppelin is?
she's well trained.
Yes.
She does
Stairway
know
to
it.
Heaven.
Crazy.
Right? I mean, that's awesome. But it's funny that, like, their biggest... I mean, to me, Modern Warfare is the Led Zeppelin of video games. You know, or Call of Duty as a franchise is. You just say it and you know what it is. If you're a non-gamer, everybody knows Led Zeppelin, rock and roll. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, everybody knows Call of Duty video games. My parents who don't play, you know, they know Call of Duty.
Right.
It's a big deal, you know?
I mean, $1.1 billion in 6 weeks is ridiculous. But again, I think that's a reasonable estimate. I can't wait to see what it makes the first week of launch.
First day.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, people I know on Twitter yesterday, people like it was trending, and not only was it trending, but it was like hashtag waiting in line for midnight launch was trending, which is
It's like-
which I made that up, but probably not.
No,
that actually
it's-
probably was.
it's also
Elite's server troubles, I think, is a sign of how huge it is, because if that many people signed up instantly for it,
Yeah.
that it was crashing their system,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
that they beta tested, it's got to be big. I
Right.
mean, well, I can't wait to see what the numbers are next week.
Yeah, I mean, check back,
When will
I
we
mean-
see 'em? Next week.
Sales numbers? Well, it's when they decide that they're good enough to
Yeah,
reveal.
exactly.
They may reveal them today.
Well,
at
I mean,
day one sales. You know?
Amazon already
And-
released their crazy pre-order number, which
Yeah.
is
Right.
huge.
Basically, keep an eye on G4TV.com for all information regarding Modern Warfare 3 and all of its sales numbers. Guys, thank you very much for being here. Before we wrap out, though, I just want to go around quickly. What should people be looking forward to? What are you working on now that you're excited for people to see in the future?
Oh.
Plug something.
That's easy. Skyrim. Be sure, because we got to have also a lot of guides. I don't know if you know that, Blair, but I'm doing a guide, and I got my partner Dan doing guides for Skyrim.
All right.
How we're gonna do it? Don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But we're gonna do it. We're gonna teach you how to kill dragons, kill trolls, best ways to level up. We got all that at G4TV.com. So you guys want to stay tuned to
And
that.
Your guides are awesome. By
Yeah.
the way.
they
Also,
really
there's
are.
a
I'm actually a
guide
big fan.
in single player Modern Warfare 3 Intel items. You having trouble finding them? Just go to our site.
that guy.
I have all 46 for you, baby.
Do you
Guide
really?
Master General.
Yeah.
I'm
I
going
have
there right
all
after
46.
this taping. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Donnell's the only guy at the he's the guy that everybody hates and loves because they love him because he's so nice and look at that cherubic face, but they hate him because it's like, where's that extra copy of Skyrim? Donnell's had it all weekend. How come he gets to play it all weekend? He's writing a
Writing the
guide for it. That's why Donnell has it
So
over the
true.
weekend.
So true.
Sure.
Now, do you have the best job or the worst job? 'Cause
You know, sometimes I'm like, I get like 4:00 in the morning. I'm just like, where the goddamn things?
What I'm wondering.
Batman's in Skyrim? Amazing.
Secrets.
Well, Donnell, are you working on the Black Eyed Peas experience?
Yes, also working on a guide for that.
Okay,
so
Oh,
because we need that
yeah.
guide. So you're going to be working on that all weekend.
get it started
Not Skyrim
in
anymore.
here.
What a nice palate cleanser for Skyrim. Quite possibly the worst game of all time. JP, you have a band.
I do.
They have albums.
We do.
Thunderdick is the name of it?
Yeah. DIKK.
Cool.
Crazy. We're working on new material coming soon. But more importantly, and much sooner, new X-Plays. All through the end of the year, we got our holiday buyer's guide episodes, which telling you what to get, what to beg your parents for, what you should be playing. And then after that, coming up is going to be the Game of the Year special.
Which I'm very excited for, and I think I've got an idea of who's going to win what. Eric, what
Black
about
Eyes
you,
Pete
sir?
experience, yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. Dude, spoiler alert.
Sorry,
Not nobody's
sorry.
going to watch. Will I am. He's adorable.
Well,
We love
on G4TV.com, we'll have another edition of the Video Game Deathmatch coming out with your fan favorites, looking back at the year 2011, seeing all those games that kind of resonated, that you love, and pitting them against one another, because that's really what's fun to do on the internet.
Yeah, competition is always
yeah.
great, right?
Oh,
Sure.
yeah. Video Game Deathmatch. It starts what date again?
Oh, God. November 14th. No,
You made that up.
November 16th.
November 16th.
Neil, fix it in post.
Yeah.
It's all good. Number 7.
It's good. And you can watch X-Play for constant updates on Video Game Deathmatch as well.
Yeah, we'll be announcing the titles and the battles on X-Play on the 16th.
Right on. Well, again, thank you guys for being here. The only thing I'm working on is playing Skyrim because that's what we're going to talk about next week, you guys.
Booyah.
And it's going to be amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Congratulations to the two of you that won Thunderdick albums.
That's right. Listen in good health.
That's right. And guys, thank you for being here. Thanks for taking the time out.
Thank
I
you,
hope
Blair.
I'm not fired.
Thank you.
Thanks for hiring me
Never.
for this show, and we will see you guys next week. Cool.